Welcome. Fancy meeting you here. Thank you for tuning in. I am just, as usual, testing something. I'll angle this mic towards me in case there's a problem with audio again. But yeah, I just wanted to review last night. I think I was live for about 3 hours discussing what I'm terming Racegate. And if people want to call it a scandal, it is scandalous on the surface of it. It looks to me like there's this, not necessarily an invasion, but this sort of subtle ingratiation upon us. And it's not necessarily the same individual that I was referring to last night, Kuven, the MSA drag chairman. It's sort of that type of person in general within the sport. And in particular with MSA drags and its demise. You've got a country with 9 provinces. You've got drags run in 3 of them, were running 3 of them under MSA. There was a time when even KZN Motor Racing was MSA. And that whole team up and left, and the reasons and the details for that, I would have to find out. I don't know. I haven't inquired. But it just all seems problematic. So you almost wonder, what laundry is there that's so dirty? I don't need to know the dirty laundry if it's irrelevant to me and to the sport. Some of us want to know. I don't necessarily need to. But when my sport is in such a disarray as it currently is, then I've got to ask the question, what the hell just went on? I had a few queries from people that, I don't know if my question was unclear. But just to review, cars had been racing without interior bits here and there, vehicle completely stripped. And whether or not in recent years, prior to 2022 and 2023, most likely 2023, and I'm going to go and read through those regulations because I've been out of the sport since 2009. And if I compare the regulations then to now, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked. And yes, we've moved with the times, technology's improved, vehicle strength, vehicle design processes and materials have changed. For all we know, our vehicles contain a mix of steel and chromium and whatever the case may be. We've got vehicles made of aluminium. Actually, the vehicle probably wouldn't contain chromium because that metal actually tends to shear quite, strangely enough, quite easily. So I'm not disputing any of that. Times need to change. There's safety measures in newer vehicles, but as I laid out last night, the new vehicle safety ratings for you as a person driving with no passengers, which is the conditions under which we race, because we don't race with our whole family in the car at the track. Some of us do that on the road, and that's something for you and your family and your higher power that you pray to discuss. We've got numerous accounts of individuals, accidents, deaths. Some lost their legs. Others suffered whatever injury, whiplash, on the street. And people will jump on that and go, yeah, that's why you must go to the track. Is it? And why is that? What's different between the street and the track? Ultimately. And you ask people these questions like, why do you street race? Yeah, no, it's liquor to run away from the cops. No, my guy. You are smoking tea bags mixed with banana peels and maybe some low-grade tobacco. Now, for me, within the community, there's such confusion. And I mean, I saw it in a few groups yesterday, and I'm not going to mention the specifics, but it's to do with gathering, to do with coming together. And I mean, we do it every day. Go to a funeral, you don't see JP Smith coming there because there's a gathering. We go to the mall in large groups, you don't see JP Smith coming there because it's a gathering. We go to church, same story. We go to mosque, same story. We stand on the side of pavement, same story. The minute there's a car involved, different story. Now, I'm not saying he's wrong. He may have good intention. I'm just saying the execution is crap. And the same goes for the law officials, the traffic, metro, LEAP, SAPS, all of them. Half of these guys, in fact more than half, don't even know what it is they are fining you for. Yes, they have a little bookie. I mean, I can recall a traffic officer coming to me because I complained about someone blocking my gate. Now, to the person blocking my gate, to him it's irrelevant. It's a sport, dag vir dag, ek gaan my hier park. That's the mentality of my people. Now, I need to get to where I need to get. I've had the cases before where I've had to rush 30 or 40 kilometers to a hospital. Now, to have someone block my gate, I'm going to drive through your car. I don't care. I will reverse and knock it out of the way because it's against the law. It's against the bylaw to block my ingress and my egress to my home. But the traffic officer presented a little bookie and he asked me how much should I fine this guy. It's at his discretion. Now, that's a very dangerous thing to have for most human beings. And likewise, you've got people in positions that give them power and control. And there's three things that matter to people: power, control, and money. Either or a mix of the three, or all three. Now, when it's all three, it's most likely a problem. When it's a mix of the three, they are tolerable. When it's one, you can go, okay, they kind of chilled. And maybe that's not all and always the case. But, and I don't want to say I feel, because the evidence that's mounting and the facts that's mounting and the occurrences and the timelines don't lie. Now, I mean, let's go and dig a little bit deeper because I wasn't feeling too well last night. I'm on this I'm assessing the Banting diet again because I hadn't achieved my goals of weight gain to be able to start it definitely and run alongside my vehicle to demonstrate what I said by and what I have been saying about racing is not expensive. Going faster can be. Going faster generally is. Improving is. It costs most certainly. It also doesn't necessarily have to be expensive if you start with yourself. So that's the sort of decision I just made Monday morning. I didn't even make the decision. It was just going about my day, and about 2 or 3 hours into it, I was like, hey, what have I eaten today? I've only eaten 2 eggs. I'm going to ban from today. Let's see what happens for the month of October, and then I'll assess it in November and decide, do I try and pack on the weight again, or I'm at a fair start weight. So I'm keen to see how much I lose this month. And I weighed 123 in last week. 123 point something. Let's just round it down for the sake of being fair. 123. So let's see how much I lose in this month. And if it's significant, then I'm going to stamp that as there's the proof. Eat yourself thin. Because I'm not going to exercise this month. At all. Not that I have been exercising. I'm just going to eat. And if you've caught some of my updates on my status, you would have seen. If you want to tune in, DM me, my number's in the description. There is a private food network channel. Well, okay, I can't say food network. Food and nutrition channel. And that community is locked down. It's for individuals that are serious about things. Because I'm also sick and tired of the individuals that goad, that have nothing better to do with their lives, then come here and make statements in the attempts to make me look bad, as if I care. Then they retract their own statements. I mean, you made it. It's written in ink. What are you scared of? Why? So, if you don't have a justified reason, just be quiet, man. Because you're looking for the attention. And I'm certainly going to give you the wrong kind of attention. The attention you don't want. But you came knocking. You know? So if you want to join that food and nutrition channel, you're more than welcome to DM me. It's private, so I send you the link and it activates your email address, just yours to watch it. And you can enjoy and share it with the individuals. And there's a reason and a method behind that. You know, I'm all about each one reach one, taking a slow and steady approach, actually focusing on quality over quantity. And that's what I want. I want you to engage with your networks, your social circles, the people you hold dear, your friends, your family. And you take it to them. And the reason for that is, in business, I found that if I go to, just to digress quickly, if I go to an apartment block and I go and put flyers in everyone's post box, maybe a handful are going to respond. I'm not fazed, because it's those that are willing to engage. So now I engage with them. If they are sold on the concept or the idea, they will carry that forward. I need do nothing more. And that was evident in my request for engagement by putting flyers in everyone's postbox. Those that didn't respond, they may still come a day. Those that didn't respond, maybe didn't want to, that's fine. I don't know you, you don't know me, so we should ideally give each other opportunity, but you may not need or want what I'm selling at the moment. But there is someone that does. Now, if you're all living in an apartment block, your social circle is generally that apartment block. Maybe not the entire one, but a fraction or portion of it. So for me to break the ice with 50 people is going to be a waste of my time. But if I break the ice with 5 or 6, 10% at least, if not less, the minute they engage with me and they are on board, what they say to the people they know is trusted, is believed, is, something that they will then easily consider than trying to deal with me and me trying to break the ice with them. Now, I haven't learned that in a business environment at that time, or a business course at that time. This is 2005. I literally said, right, taking a 2 rand, that's all I had actually, a 2 rand, and I'm going to try and start this. And it worked. And I can say it probably worked because of my ability to engage with anyone. Now, over the past week or few, you've heard the worst, and not even the worst, a bad side of me, an ugly side of me. Aimed at individuals that are just problems. Aimed at individuals that want to cry victim and want to look for support. And, reach out to their networks and to strangers, complete strangers, and say, yeah, this guy's bad, this guy does this, you see what he did. What did I do? I engaged with you because I saw what you did. And then you go on to tell people, I haven't bothered with this guy for ever until now. And that's a complete lie. Now, I can't tolerate that. And then you want to try and smear my name. I want you to take note of what transpires. And this kind of attitude, is expressed, is what happens or what is happening in my sport as well. You've got a few that want to exert control. They want power. And it just looks like they're chasing money. We've got equipment that was gifted to us by the FIA that's meant for use in South Africa. Now, I can look at that and say, okay, it'd be great if we can use that on the street. I don't know. I need to find out. What's the purpose of the equipment? No one said anything. Where's the specification of this equipment? No one has said anything. It was gifted to us from the FIA, care of Motorsport South Africa. My understanding. Where is that equipment? Who has it? Why isn't it going around the country and enabling more to get insight into what our sport is about? Because that's what this channel is about. That's what this platform is about. Insight, information, education, empowerment, upliftment and development. And you'll hear there at the center of everything that I just said is education. So what is the aim of us having this equipment? And we can't put it to good use to give people insight, people that are possibly, concerned about coming to a racetrack. I mean, I dealt with so many people leading up to the weekend past event, DMing me, asking in groups, how do I do this? What must I do here? Why must I do this? Do I need this? Do I need that? And 17 years on, we're having this problem. So to that end, I'm probably going to start a drag school. And if somebody wants to take this idea and jump ahead, go for it. You are more than welcome. It will not come close to what I'm going to do. Nothing does. And that is evident if you even just look, if you've never engaged with me and you just look at this channel. Nothing will ever come close to this. What you hear and see is me always improving, ever improving. Because that is life. You're always learning. If you don't learn from your wrongs, then you make mistakes. And that's why I say I don't make mistakes. I may do the wrong thing, but I don't make mistakes because I learn from what was wrong. And that's a very subjective thing. It depends on how you apply it, I suppose, and how you want to interpret it. But I'm a very difficult person with reason. Don't waste my time. Now, I've had 4 to 5 months of my time wasted because of queries raised, and I could read those queries to you. It's in a Word document somewhere. If I can find it, I'll try and open it now and see, but I doubt I'm going to get to it. Is this open? No, it isn't. So, let me see if I can get it on my phone. The issues that we had, which led to this mess, in my opinion, that we currently have in the Western Cape, could have been addressed early on. But it was left for 5 months. So what do you think happened? People got accustomed to it, people liked it, and that is now what it will be. And they're not wrong. What was the argument by MSA to WPMC for why we must comply with the rules? It was voted against in 2022, and then it was enforced for 2024. We sat in meetings, in general drag meetings, and I looked at everything was red. It was blood on that SSR. Everything needed to change. Yet, I identified problems and I queried it. I said, guys, and I'm referring nationally now to Kuven, to Harry, and I don't know if I included JP. I said, guys, what is going on? Last year the classes were as such, this year the classes are different. And I got a story from Kuven, and I was like, but this doesn't make sense. And I contacted Harry, and he's like, no, but the classes are the same. And I said, then there's a problem, because this is what the document says. This is what the class says. Only to discover that it was wrong, it needed to be changed. Now, nothing against you guys on that level. But I mean, this creates problems. And then to see what unfolded this year, which in my opinion started last year in the Western Cape, with, the management at WPMC taking a decision, delivering us that decision indirectly in a meeting, then turning around and then inviting the races to participate, to make it appear as if the races decided. That's the bottom line. That is the fact. And if anybody wants to argue that with me, you're more than welcome to argue. And if you think your tone and your chastising and your strong arming is going to work on me, you are sorely mistaken. Come with facts and present them. Now, when the fact is, a meeting occurred in May, before WPMC had to have a meeting with MSA. And at that meeting, a presentation was had. And at that meeting, a discussion was had and decisions were made and taken. And that was conveyed to MSA. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that is relevant to the public. That impacts on a whole bunch of things. If you're going to give me hassle at a track over my seats, if you're going to give me hassle at a track over my driver's license card, what do you think is going to happen? And there's a number of options. One, people are going to go, Kilani se MSP, and they go to the street. People are going to go, Aldo se MSP, and they go to the street. People are going to go, Desi se MSP, and they go to the street. People are going to say that for private tracks as well. They may say Midwal se MSP, and they go to the street. I honestly doubt that in Gauteng it's such a mission just to get on the track. Because there are so many unsanctioned events on those private facilities. I can guarantee you now I can contact Ashila and Nino and ask them, have you had any incidents like this? And they'll probably tell me no. But imagine if they did. There would be no one at the tracks. I can probably say the same doesn't happen at Desi. Because Harry is accommodating and he'll look at it objectively and he'll say, well, let's put it to the test and see. Let's give it a chance. That's what I like about Harry. He'll ask you questions, he'll be skeptical, he'll think about it, but there's a chance. And that's all that's needed if the offer and if what is about to go down and what's being presented is genuine. I would like to think, I feel. I don't know the situation at Aldo. I was asked by a certain individual to come to Aldo. I was then engaged by Kuven. And from the beginning, I'm saying, this just, why is my ass being licked? Why is my balls being tickled? Tell me no to my face. Or tell me no in a message, or tell me no over the phone. It's fine by me. Bye. Have a nice day. Have a nice life. But the tone and the approach to me just seemed like, an agenda with me. Now, this is too short for me to delve into that because I don't really want to be on a live this long in the morning. But we'll try. I'll reschedule my whole day. I don't mind. I've only got a meeting at 10 today. So, we could discuss it, but that's not the point. I want you to engage with me and tell me what your thoughts are, what issues you have, what it is that you think should and can be done, what you want to hear more of. What points were made that you agree with, what points were made that you disagree with. you know? I mean, whether you engage or not, that's your choice. Makes no difference to me. I'm focusing on the sport and the recreation of drags. From there, we will expand to gymkhana, spinning and drifting. That was always the plan. From the very beginning, when I got to the space I was going to use, I looked at it and I was like, well, there's a track here which was being used for drifting. Why can't we just do that as well? There's enough space to coordinate all this. There's a space here which I discovered later. So you can't say from the very beginning, but initially 2021, 2022, but those videos are there on the channel. If you go back in time, you'll see testing with a tuner at Versantekraal to see and judge and assess the surface. And I came to the conclusion that that surface, if not in its entirety, sections of it where it was critical to the race or what could happen to the vehicle, the risk needed to be reviewed. And I was willing to invest in that. But the issue there was the owners and the person managing the facility, who it turns out is now apparently starting and building a track near to, next to, or on that facility. I don't know. Don't care. Haven't been there for the last 3 years. And maybe I'll go and have a look just for fun. But there are so many things there, and I'm not going to mention any of the issues there because it's going to impact on the individuals there. Now, if anything sinister is going to take place, that's where, motorsport protector, public protector me is going to kick in. But with that being said, those disciplines, I engage with everyone. From the spinning community to the drifting community to the gymkhana community. I engage with everyone. In 2021 and 2022. Everyone that you see operating events now. Except obviously Race SA because I'm doing the drags. And I wouldn't have minded, if I didn't think to contact Nazi. Hey, you want to get on board with this? Maybe, people speak in their social circles, in the background, in the shadows. You don't know. Whether they do or didn't, that doesn't matter to me. I don't care. But what I will say is what's happened in the last 3 years is a serious blow just to the sport of drag racing. And that's sad. Yes, there was a successful event now a week ago, Saturday past at Kilani, Vision Sabas. Great. Yes, there was a successful event a few weeks ago, bragging rights at Kilani. Great. This weekend pass was a double weekend or a double race day, full race weekend at Nkuze. There was racing in Gauteng. Great. These recreations are going. The fact that they are going is positive, is good news. But it just appears here in the Cape provinces where there are agendas. Now, whether there are or aren't in other provinces, we'd have to go and look. You hear complaints, you start to hear complaints from individuals, even in KZN, even in Gauteng. And now you start to wonder, and given my interaction with the Eastern Cape crew, I hardly leave a group. I was like, you know what, take your group, shove it up your asses, enjoy the suffering. Don't bother asking me for any help, don't bother asking me to put in any effort. I tried. I was here, I came here, I engaged. What are you going to hold against me? Because I made promises. I never said those things were going to happen overnight. And let's face facts. Cape Town loves to, work and operate without or outside of its means. And what I mean by that is we have a population here that wants what the next person has. Whatever that may be. But as it relates to cars, People want to build a project car. Ooh, they want that nice car. They may or may not be able to afford it. And that's evident by the amount of time those vehicles stand. Now, who this upsets, I really don't care. But that's a fact. And then it's, and some joke about it. I'm looking for sponsors. I take no note. Others are like, they're serious about it. And I'm sitting there going, you made the choice for this. So now everyone else must foot the bill. And I say that from the angle of, show me that that vehicle is on the strip, on the street, visible. Some have proven that to me. And those will be held in a high regard and considered. But ultimately, it'll all be based on merit. Now, unfortunately for you, I couldn't charity myself to death. That's a fact. The amount of money I spent on this, I've already stated. And I don't regret a single moment. I thoroughly enjoyed going around. What annoyed me was hearing content creators in those times moaning and complaining and, guilting people into things. Complaining about standing where they're standing. Yo, it's cold. Yo, it costs a lot. Yo, I've got so many problems at home with my family and I can't take. Then stop. No one held a gun to your head to present and do content. No one held a gun to mine. I made the decision. But people don't have context and they just think, it's a non-issue. I mean, to go to Kelani, fine. 200 rands petrol, 500 rand for data, entry, let's say $100, $120. So now you're looking at already 800 rand. And I'm just doing a live stream. It's not as bad for spectators. Now think about it. I eat a lot. So it would probably come to 1-2 for me. 400 rand food for the day. And that's, believe me, that's possible. So 500 for data, 200 for fuel, 100 for entry. That's 800. And 200 to 400 for food. So let's just say, let's be fair, 200,000 rand. Just to go to Killarney. To go to somewhere like Saldanha, take that mileage and multiply it by 3. Okay, so that's another 400 rand. So now we're looking at 1.4. We look at other things like, maybe additional snacks for the road, all those things. So you call it 1.5 even. But that excludes totally wear and tear on my vehicles. It excludes my time. It excludes the use of my equipment. And all those things need to be costed. So when you cost it, then people look at you like, if it doesn't make sense to you, then go and sit and think and ask questions. Don't make a statement it doesn't make sense to you. Rather come and ask me why this, why that. Because that it doesn't make sense is now to what make me feel bad. No, how about you take responsibility for yourself and you go and sit and study and ask questions. Now, I mean, the reason why I'm bringing all of these things up is because when something like Racegate occurs, where there's rules in place and rules enforced which appear on the surface to be benefiting some and hindering others, then that impacts everything down the line. A car is taken out for the year. Now they're looking for sponsors. If it's a car that's been competing and has been popular and is well, observed and respected by the community, you could say, well, there's an opportunity here for brand exposure. So, what do you need? But then people can't. They can't cost. I need 5,000. Then you give 5. And then they come again. I need another 3,000. Now, do your homework, man. Sit and work out what it is you need. Simply. and be open and transparent about it. But people are chance takers, kans vatters. That's what makes this nation great. It's a trait that I thoroughly respect and love, but you've got these individuals recently that see it as an opportunity to boof the next. You know, the rules take the cars out, and all that spectatorship will go with it. Because that's maybe the car they came to watch. You know, you've got false advertising at events. And I mean, WPMC is guilty of it probably the most. People don't race in Ramadan, but their car's on the flyer. What do you think people are going to take from that? Oh, that car's racing this weekend. I want to go and see that. That's natural human reaction. The fastest BMW in the world is coming to Killarney. That's how it was built. That's how it was marketed on the web ticketing system, in black and white, on the internet. Videos were made. That car's been down since August. The event is 14 September. That car had been down since August. A month prior. The organizer knew about it. Why did he say nothing? It's not my job to say anything. It's not my business. After the fact, yes, I will raise it because you should have done the right thing. Now, I guarantee you, if you go and look at the numbers of that event and you go and look at the numbers of the last event, never mind the spinning. That was busy. Go and look at the drags. 14 September, that drags was packed. Saturday past, that place was dead. By my standards. And I can guarantee if you look at the numbers, you'll see that. Now, yes, that event was sponsored. Great. So there was no loss to the club and the facility. Shouldn't have been. But the expectation, I don't think, was reached. Now, at the 14 September's event, there were some things that were quiet by people's opinion. And that's fair, you know. A facet here is quiet, a facet there is quiet. The overall event was well attended. If you listen to the competitors, they all enjoy themselves. If you listen to the spectators, you start to hear issues. You start to engage with people and they start saying, you know, yeah, I'm never coming back to this. It was dead, it was boring, it was all this. I came for this car. It was the biggest one. Now, I mean, we're not virgins here, man. Are we at that state now where we will falsely advertise and dupe people to get to events? That's upsetting. That is very upsetting. And I don't care who discusses what and where they discuss it. But that is the most upsetting, and that's a fact. That happened. I'm not making this up. August already. There were concerns and the vehicle was out. And what those reasons were, I don't know fully. Parts were coming in from the US, whatever that was. But you don't leave it in the hopes of. You communicate. And that's the biggest problem here, not just here, in almost everything that I've seen in the world. Communication is lacking. All these things tie in. Even though we're reviewing Racegate, it all ties into that. We've got individuals here slithering about, rushing and you know, looking to get to interviews to discuss their story. I haven't even watched any of those interviews yet. I haven't even engaged and listened to any of those others. And I will, but only after I've set the precedent and set the baseline and said, right, this is how it is. Let's see what was said. Let's hear the BS. I mean, it's quite clear. If you ask someone, you have queries. It takes them a month to respond. Can you please put this in a formal document so I can sit and engage? Not a problem. Everyone is busy. But you're not busy for 4 months after that, man. That's impossible. And if you are, then you need individuals to assist you. Maar dis lekker. We fly around the country, we travel, we're going to this event, you know, it's always here, we're going to this one, it's so busy. I don't have time for this BS, man. These excuses, poor excuses. And it's not just in motorsport, it's everywhere. And that's probably why I cannot deal with most people, because it's a waste of my time to have to repeat myself, to have to slow down and break things up into chunk-sized pieces for people who cannot process. Now, this is going to upset a lot of people, but that's exactly what happens at WPMC. You know, I left the drag committee in 2008, 2009, thereabouts, because of my time being wasted. You know, we started this street to strip. I didn't want any involvement. I didn't want anything from it. I identified there's shortfalls or shortcomings within the community to be able to actually get to the track and engaged on the track. And SK Racing was born. I mean, that kind of, you know, was the shift. So this was a good thing. It was getting guys not off the street in that sense to end street racing, but it was showing guys that there's more to it than just the social aspect. There's actually a sport behind it. And if we can get enough support, we can bring the people to the track. We can, you know, generate enough funds to now start showing the world how serious this can be. In a little third world country. It's ambitious, but it was possible. Because we aren't the USA, we aren't Britain, we aren't the other first world powers. But on the African continent, we're pretty high up there in terms of a developed country. So we could be the first, one of the first world countries of Africa. So we had the greatest chance of turning that into something. But that involved development. And I'm going to give you a bit of insight into that. I mean, we may go on here to 8:30, 9 o'clock. I might just make this a every morning session. But we had every opportunity to take that, run with it, make the best of it. Vehicles that have never seen that track were coming. Vehicles that might not have seen a roadworthy for 5 years were coming. People that only ever spectated at Killarney were coming. People that have never been were coming. People that were told by others Killarney is a MSP were coming. Groups, clubs, crews, all of them. And the weirdest thing was, when one was failed, they all said, fuck this, we're going. Oh, did I put a warning in here for expletives? Yes, I did. So, you know, I can remember specifically the X-Men came to Street to Strip. I don't know if they even still exist. I met one the other day, he works at Ford. Don't even think he has a Runx anymore. But the X-Men came. And the niche that I found that was lacking was, show me a street racer that didn't own a bike that had a helmet. And I can distinctly remember being laughed at about that. No, but it's people know when they come to Killarney, they must wear long pants, long sleeve, closed shoes, and they must come with a helmet. That's the assumption, yes. And I sat there and I said, Paul, I don't think that's going to be the case. And we shook on it. And I remember him saying, I won't even charge you a vendor's fee. And I think at vendor's fee now was 2,000. And I don't know what it was back then. I don't care because it wasn't on the table. And I made so much money renting helmets that night. It's ridiculous. 50 rand a pop. And I'm not going to explain the process because that's my intellectual property. Of how I manage that. That's my business. But 50 rand for a helmet. Alright? Now the guy would come, stand in the queue, all nerves, all the excitement, do his run, come back to me. Here's your helmet, thank you very much. And I'm sitting there going, it's not per run, it's for the whole night. Use it the whole night if you want to. Oh, lekker. No, but I'm done. That was it. They just wanted the experience. They wanted the insight. And that is what Street to Strip delivered. And that is why I say that's key. These are all the things I knew in principle. I picked it up. It was proven. So I was like, okay, well, prove my concept. That's why I don't focus on POCs anymore. I focus on POVs. Proof of value. Proof of concept, that can be done in your head. Then you've got examples where, like I said, the X-Men were there. They come and rent a helmet because you need to have the helmet to go through scrutineering. You need to have everything in place to go through scrutineering because you and vehicle go through scrutineering. Checking that everything is fine, checking that nuts are on, checking that things are secure. And they failed this guy because his battery was loose. And I remember going to Andre and saying, you know what? You failed him for his battery being loose, but why don't you show him? Is there a possibility that he can pass? Yeah, no, if he just secures the battery. I said, well, why don't you tell him that? It was probably one of the times where I was upset with Andre. And I mean, he's the nicest oak. He's the nicest oak. But in your capacity as a scrutineer, and the same goes for Eugene, if I recall. He was a Ford Blue Steel Owners Club. Blue Steel Ford Owners Club, if I remember correctly. He had a Ford Cortina, a white one. He worked at Audi at the time. He now works at Porsche. He was also scrutineering. You know, Byron, Andre's son, was also scrutineering. And amongst them, I was like, you guys should know what they can do to fix the problem. Because we are here to foster this, we are here to develop this. But the scrutineering just let us down because this guy comes to me and says, oh my guy, you know what, can I get my money back because I can't, they failed my car. I said, no problem. Here's your money back, get my helmet back, there's everything else. What's the issue? Now, you know, leads with Kilani's a MSP. We are all gonna go now. All. Listen to the words. One guy failed. They're all going to leave. Kilani's got their money. The majority of them are scrutineered. That demonstrates their loyalty to one another. And I ask him, what's the issue? He tells me, and I say, no, dude, cable ties. Just a couple of cable ties, you sorted. Thankfully, he went back, sorted. Now, why couldn't the scrutineers do that? Is that a policy? No, our job here is to fail. If you don't pass, you fail. Okay, that's kind of obvious. If you don't pass, you fail. But how about you take your role and run with it, man? Help, engage, develop. Then we want to complain. There's guys on the street. And we wonder why people say Kilani's a MSP. And I don't even think JP registers that. Because he came along recently. Hy's maar net 'n laatkomer. He wasn't here in 2008, 2007. Maybe he was. I mean, Ghost Squad started around that time. Maybe he was. Maybe he just started and he had ambitions. Groot kop. I'm going to do this. I don't know. But I can go and find out. And we can get to a point where, you know, there's to some degree, oh, okay, ambitious. Because JP started the Ghost Squad. It's his baby. He gave birth to it. Hy's die ma. Adrian Long is die pa. Adrian Long currently runs the Ghost Squad. As far as I remember. I've engaged with Adrian. And he is receptive, you know. I've sent him a long message and I explained to him, this is the logic. And he sat there in disbelief and he's like, you have a point. And I was like, I always have a point. I don't waste my time opening my mouth if I don't. People just don't like to hear it. There's a difference. That's your problem, not mine. Bottom line. Now, there's other instances where people would come for a helmet, get a helmet, come crying, and not necessarily to me, but to say, you know, car was failed, I'm sorry. And I'm no problem. I'm not going to hold it against you. There's your money back. Take my helmet back. What's the issue? No, this and that's the problem. Oh my word, one wheel nut. Just one wheel nut is missing. And I tested this again a few months ago, just to prove the point. 15 years on, the same rule applies. not necessarily a rule, maybe a courtesy. One wheel nut was missing in that vehicle in 2008. And I simply told the guy, is it a front or rear wheel? Because I didn't take note of the cars. I hardly take note of people, the cars, their setups. If I ask you, it's purely out of interest. I'm like, oh, that's a nice build. Otherwise, I could care less. And he said, no, it's whatever drive it was. And all I said was, take a nut from your non-drive wheel and put it on your drive wheel. Sorted. Why couldn't the scrutineers do that? Now, there are probably many other instances where they did. Possibly because of the incident that occurred that made them aware of it, or because they at that time thought of it. I don't know their thought processes. But it pains me when we lack development, we lack the interest in developing the sport at the very level and core where we are expected to go and partake in the sport, where our government almost herds us to a facility to avoid the street to go and enjoy our sport. But there's just poor execution here. I mean, we fall for these sort of advertisements and this marketing and this whole narrative, going race at the track. And I've presented to City why it's a complete failure as a whole. And I've given them insights into the solution. But the rest of it is my intellectual property. If you want to engage with me, you give me a memorandum of understanding. So that I know if you try to turn on me, we are going to court, bottom line. Because I came up with these things. Now, not necessarily street to strip, because everybody lays claim to that. And that's expected. Yeah, we also spoke to Kilani. Yeah, we also went. Yeah, we also spoke to Paul. Great. But it was just me and him in his office. So where were all of you then? Separate discussion? Because the discussion we had seemed to be from the very beginning. And even if Paul wants to deny that, that is fine by me. Dates don't lie. Timelines don't lie. Recollection of things can be disputed. Pick a story and get your story straight, because if you have more than one, then there's problems. If you're changing your story, then there's problems. Eventually other businesses came on board. There was a street to strip handicap or bracket night. Whether they ran it correctly, I wouldn't know, because I didn't take note. But there were companies that came on board after the fact, riding the wave of interest. And clubs that came on board, riding the wave of interest. I had no interest. I was focused on the development. So when are we going to start with the development? Lekker. In the drag committee meetings, on the committee, now we, sorting out MSA and trying to get that lively, because it had quietened down and people don't realize why, because of the recession. Not because racing became expensive. The recession placed pressure on everyone. That was around 2007, 2008. And here I am on the drag committee, and we're trying to organize eliminators and just seeing it from a different perspective now. Having been a spectator, having competed, having been a provider. Now I'm part of the operations. Looking at it from this perspective and going, yes, there's most massive problems here. Operations is poor. When are we doing eliminators? Pick a time. Okay, will we be able to achieve the requirements for those eliminators? What are the requirements? 2 qualifying runs, 3 qualifying runs, single shot, get your run. That's your dial-in time. What's the specifics? I mean, to this day, we're trying to get bracket racing going. For 2 years. Yeah, no, we must do bracket racing. And it's brought up, but that's where it stays. Nothing actually ever happens. Nothing. No engagement. No people get asked to demonstrate the solution. Then it's said that, the system can do it. It's hands that we need. It's people that we need. So that is simple. Get people. Do you want specific people? If I'm racing, why would I want to be doing operations and administration if I'm racing? I'd like to focus on my racing. If I'm not racing and I choose to be a spectator, why would I want to be busy with administration and operations? The approach to all of this is wrong. And I'm not about to share the right way because that is my intellectual property. That's how I expect to be running operations. People are looking at the wrong things, not doing anything, complaining. That's all I hear. Excuses, complaints, reasons why we can't do it. And I've said it before, I'm not interested in those that don't want to do it. I'm interested in those that want to. Just like we did in KZN. A seed was planted in 2022. Hey guys, what do you think about bracket racing? And all those that remembered it, nothing but positive memories. Those that didn't know what it was asked questions. Everyone else stayed quiet. Great. We've got enough to do something. Let's look at that. Last year it was announced, hey, we're going to do a top 16 eliminator in KZN. And you've seen the post. If you haven't, I'm going to send it and post it here on the community page. I've got a lot of things to post on the community page. Yes, sis. But that segment garnered the most cheers and the most support. Bracket racing. Proper bracket racing. But here we're still trying to, nobody wants to. If you're saying nobody, it means zero. But when I ask people, that's a handful. So if I count the handful I asked, that's already 3. If I take into account the balance, who I know will do it, that's another 5. There you've got an 8-man ladder. And even if you don't have 8, if you just have 5, you can have an 8-man ladder. Someone's going to draw by. Geluk. Geluk for you. How are we going to run it? Are we going to do it by a ranking system? Are we going to do it by qualifying? You decide. The rest is my intellectual property. I didn't invent bracket racing, but how to run it, that's my business. How I'm going to run it, that's my business. But we sit here with a lot of people that just talk and they don't do. Now we've got idiots that engage with me, that goaded me because I made promises. Let's look at the facts. I made a statement that I want to have my own events. COVID to me looked perfect because I didn't need spectators there. And in any case, under 200, I don't need cities involvement to a degree, depending on the risk of the activity and depending on where. If it's private land, that's why I approached a private owner. Cheers, city, don't need you. You can come and knock and see and ask and you can end the event. That's fine. We just need to get something going. Now, on the street would have been a different story. A very different story. And that would have automatically required the engagement of the eventing department, risks, solid waste management, sewage, fire, ambulance, all these things, public discipline. That's pretty much the gist of it. On a private venue, I would probably put those in place as well, but it's more at my discretion. So if the less people I have, the lower the costs. Think about it. 200 people, 10 toilets. 20 toilets, maybe that's a bit much. 10 toilets could work. The numbers that is used and mentioned and worked on by companies like Sanitec is 1 for every 100 males, 1 for every 50 females, or 1 for every 75 individuals, which sounds a bit low to me. I mean, maybe that's changed now. We'll see. But I remember saying that's just ridiculous. I'd need a lot more toilets because that just doesn't seem great. And or someone to janitor that throughout the day, and or a service facility for that. The idea here is enjoyment on all stakeholder levels. Competitor, administration, operations, marshalling, safety, spectator. And for me, that was perfect. 200 people, no spectators. That's how it was going to happen. And I saw the opportunity to engage with all other disciplines and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking to have drags here. There's space for you to come along. No charge. I'm not going to charge you as an organizer to be there. I'm happy to pay that cost. What I will say is whatever we end up charging, and that pricing is still on this channel. The pricing is still on this channel. If you go and look closer, you'll find that video. And at the very least, whatever you want to charge your competitors to enter, deduct it off what I'm charging, and I'll take that, and the rest is yours. Or let's come to an agreement. If you're going to tell me you're going to bring 50 guys, then I'll say, okay, well, your price is, 70% of that. Deduct that off whatever you're charging, and the rest is yours. Do with it what you want. But I'm just saying it makes no sense to have an empty space. This empty road that I see is costing us money. It's not being used. It's there, but it's unused. Time doesn't stop because the road isn't used. So that would have made sense. And like I said, I engaged with everyone. In gymkhana, in drifting, in spinning. And all I'm going to say is the opportunity has passed. I'm sorry. And I may do things differently. And they may be wrong. It won't be a mistake. I know it'll be a success. Now the approach is going to be slightly different because of this Racegate and these ridiculous rules that is just either forcing people into do things that they shouldn't necessarily have to do. If they really and genuinely feel that they must do it for their own safety, then I 100% agree. Those things that you add will add to your safety. And to counter the work that you're doing, look at yourself. Look at other ways of lighting. If you're going to add a roll cage, then gut the hell out of your car. I don't think there's a rule that says you can't drive a car on the road with a roll cage. And I'll engage with my partners in that and ask them. The rules of the road are specific. They are kind of obvious. If you are driving your car, it's just you. It's stripped out fully. You've put a roll cage. How is it unroadworthy? If it's a car just for you, like a single seater. And there are single seaters. There are race cars for the road that carry two. So what makes this different? This is where you have to ask the question of your government. What is your agenda? Now, it was alluded to the fact that, street racing is it's a nuisance and a disturbance. That's the only thing it can be. That's the only thing it can be. Besides the common statement that it's illegal, what's the reason for that? If people are using that term and throwing it around, then you can have a very ugly surprise. Because we will enforce other measures to make sure you do your job properly or you are out of here. I'm sorry. If the illegal aspect is just because of authorization, great. Where can I get authorization? If you're going to turn around and tell me, oh, you can't, don't come with that. If I can't get authorization, why? What's the reason? And this is where I can say, people need to think for themselves. They need to sit and sort of assess what it is they need and want and ask questions. City and I had a meeting in 2021 that I told you about. And in that meeting, I said, your Formula E is most likely going to be postponed. And it was taken very, it was bordering on people being upset and frustrated. That's how it was taken. And I said, well, it's kind of obvious. Your concrete barriers are not FIA approved. So we're going to have cars here driving at speed in excess of what these barriers were manufactured for. They were manufactured to lift a vehicle and slow it down. the general and average road-going vehicle that cannot drive in excess of 170, 180, call it maybe 200 k's, it's going to hopefully lose control at a lesser speed, hit these barriers, be lifted by the barrier, and then come back down. And the lifting is meant to slow the vehicle down. But what's going to happen when you've got a vehicle traveling in excess of 250, near 300 k's an hour? What do you think is going to happen then? That thing's going to go airborne. So this is the thing. City wanted to have an event amongst the civilian population in Cape Town around residential homes. Let's just be blunt. Sea Point, Green Point-ish. And you were going to use barriers. That's the intent. You were going to use barriers that would have caused more harm than anything else. At least I can say FIA did their job. Where was MSA? Did MSA do that? Then, my hats off to them. I would love to know. I would love to know. But City wants to sit there and judge me and judge all those before me and give them hassles, like spin. That's the reason why I met with Johnny as well. What have you been through so that I can avoid that, man? Be helpful. Help the next. And I would love to think that I got all the information that was relevant. Not anything that I didn't. I don't need your intellectual property. But all the information that is relevant just to save me time. Because at the end of the day, I'm not suffering. It's everyone out there that has not had an enjoyable experience that is suffering. It's everyone out there that has not had an opportunity to get to the track that is suffering. Yes, they may eventually get there. There were people that spoke to me, it's the first time I'm racing an MSA. And for the record, it's not an MSA. But that's in everyone's mind. I mean, yeah, I'm going, geesh, what I've learned and forgotten, most of you guys must still learn. But you want to attack me and goad me and all of these things. Please, go and waste your time somewhere else. But I mean, I asked all these people, and clearly, if they weren't helpful or wanted to be helpful, they were threatened. And then you should be. If that's going to be your approach, then you should feel threatened. Because then I will take from you what you so dearly cherish. And I will do it one individual at a time. I don't need more. To me, 2 is company, 3 is a crowd. We build from there. That's how I started my car club. Our first breakfast run was 3 cars. 2 Seat Leon FRs and an Ibiza. And not a high-performance Ibiza Cupra or FR or a TDI FR. A 1.6, it could have even been a 1.4. Because the club wasn't just about the car. It was about the people. And from there it grew. It grew to 20, if not more. There was one breakfast run that we literally had a sighting car. We had a trailing car. And it was just shy of a number that I needed to get a permit from City for, but we adhered to the rules. It was an amazing drive. I think it's Clarence Drive, if I remember correctly, through Gordon's. I don't know the names of the roads. I just know the roads. And we ended up in Hermanus. For me, the drive was the big thing. And I was wrong. I should have possibly thought of where are we going to eat and cater to everyone. And that was, my first club. I mean, my 20s. Chairman of the Seat Club of South Africa. And I took so much flack from guys in Johannesburg because they had, we a Seat Club. We Seat Sport. That's great. What does that mean? I'm not you. I'm catering to everyone. Seat Sport, you've got people with the high-end Seats having discussions. So how does that make the person with the 1400 and the regular 2 liter and the the TDI feel and the Altair, the family vehicle feel. It alienates them to some degree. They feel inferior. And why? Car clubs are not about cars. It's about like-minded people. So you've got this like-minded group of individuals, and then you've got someone that comes into, the roost, the fox, just to disrupt everything. Why, I'd love to know. I saw some instances of the issue. And, that's whether it's something to discuss with that person or not, I really don't care. They've not made a difference in my life. It hasn't added or taken away. Business as usual. I didn't even know of some of these individuals up until last year. My channel's not dependent on them. Like I said, I reached my goals before this channel was shared without my knowledge. And in most lives, I said, guys, as far as possible, let's maybe try and not share. If you come to this discovery by yourself, or if a friend maybe informs you about it, okay. And if that's the case, please let it be someone that's interested in this, enthusiastic about it. I don't want 40,000, 50,000, 100,000 fluff subscribers that just click everything. Subscribe, but they love tins, and they love speakers, and they love reads, and they love photographs. They don't love cars. They don't love bikes. They don't love motor-driven vehicles. Ideally, I don't want that, people. If you're an enthusiast, I want you. If your other passions enable you to contribute towards this, I want you. If you're a photographer that enjoys taking photos of objects and subjects, we could work together, because your passion will help you understand my requirement. That'll become your obligation. And likewise, what my obligation will be to you will be whatever your expectation is. And that's how we'll grow the sport. Not all the flash and the pomp and the flair. Once the flair is gone, then it's gone. But what has been built? I've seen companies come up, massive things to market in the motorsport area. Next minute, gone. Right? 40,000 followers. And then tomorrow, where's all these things that were going to be opened? I can at least say, you know what? When City is ready, and there was a time a year or two ago, I think it was last year, where City contacted me and said, can we speak? And I said, well, I don't have the time now. And 2023 was a busy year. If you go and check the channel, you'll see. So if you want to speak, great. It's probably going to be 2024, maybe 2025. What is it that you want to speak about? So I've been there. I've given the opportunity. And that goes for most people, where I've approached you and said, guys, here's an option. Here's an opportunity. Where people have said, if there's anything we can do, let us know. So I let you know. You know what? This could work for your business, for brand exposure. Didn't take up the offer. Sorry. Next. You don't hear me complaining about doing this, or running this channel, or putting the content on there. I don't need to be going around the country if this is the state of drags. It would be a waste of my time to present that to the wider world. It's an embarrassment. It would be a huge embarrassment. The regionals in Aldo, where there were the 20 cars that I spoke of last night, that was an embarrassment. And I almost wish, and it's obviously impossible, that I had made the time to go in 2022. But that wasn't planned. 2022 was sort of laid out December of 2021 already. And I was like, well, no, next year, Mkuze is definitely on the cards. And that was it. And my arm wasn't twisted, but it was said, hey, this event's coming up. Maybe you must come down for that as well and see. And great. I get to share this with more people, a different venue. There were people around Desi, less than 5 kilometers, if not closer, that never knew the track was there when I spoke to them. They just thought the people were performing on the roads, and they just thought the hooligans again. There we go. Back to the same old thing. Hooligans. Common. But people are ignorant because they don't know. They don't have the insight. They never got the education. I mean, I went through so many examples of, what is it that I ask people? Do you like motorsport? The answer is going to be yes or no. Then I realized that's really a silly question because some people may not even see drag racing as motorsport. I mean, it appears obvious to us if we understand it, but we shouldn't make that assumption because the minute I ask, do you like cars? No, yes, I love cars. Do you like motorsport? No. Do you like cars? Yes. Do you like cars racing in a straight line? Yes. Oh, well then you like motorsport. Is it? Drag racing. Oh, they thought motorsport was circuit racing. In 2022, and as organizers and promoters and track owners, track operators, we overlook this. The simplest of things. And yes, naturally, I got the poses. If I saw someone with an RS3, because that's clearly the thing right now, or a Golf R, hey, my guy, do you like racing? No. Do you like cars? No, not really. Then why do you even have this RS3? No, I just like, being seen in it. I can end that statement for you. It's an automatic. It's easy to drive. The car does everything. I just point where I want to go, and most likely without indicating, and I go. And then tomorrow when I decide I push a button by mistake because I don't know that's the ESP button, and I'm feeling a bit frisky, and there I go, and I crash and I roll and all these things. I mean, how many times have we seen these guys make videos with their F series and their G series BMs and then performing outside the Huguenot tunnel, trying to be smart for likes and content, dan amper skryf hulle kar af. Or that BMW run through Hermanus om die draai. Kan nie eens 'n draai vat nie. Now, how does that work? I mean, BMW OGs of yesteryear in the E30s in the grave are rolling in those graves. And yeah, the others that can perform, that's great. We give people like what's been happening with this Racegate. People like Uven. I'm not going to be worried about saying it. It's a fact. We give them the ammunition to go and carry stories forward and speak to others and try and get buy-in for concepts and ideas, which just kill the sport at every other angle. From every other angle. Now, I mean, 5 months later, 4 months down the line, I've now got a whole bunch of information from this man. I need to go and read this message. And I said, in response, I will read and digest. I've got other things that is now a priority. Don't come 4 months later and now I must read it now. Don't be that idiot. Within a reasonable time, I will read it. October was meant to be quiet for me. I've got a lot of things on my table. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm not complaining about it. But what I am saying is there's a queue. And you are now in that queue. So I will respond at my time. And as we stand here today, whatever content has been put out there in response to what I've released over the last month, or in, response to issues that may have been alluded to over the last year, I haven't bothered watching. So, I mean, when I get the chance, I will watch it. If people tell me to go and watch it because that answers this question, then I'll go and watch it. Otherwise, I'm not interested. At all. I mean, I got sent screenshots of, oh, this one's in an interview, that one's in an interview. Great. What does that mean to me? It means nothing to me. Even if it did have any kind of possibility of meaning something to me, that was then. Now, a year, 2, 3 later, it's very different. I mean, like I conveyed to the gentleman on Saturday, we don't need to engage. We don't even need to shake hands. Don't even give me that story of keep my name out of your mouth and I'll keep yours out of mine. I'm sorry. I wasn't raised like that on the Cape Flats. This BS of, all talk and no nothing. Net papsnoek gedagtes. That's not me. I have a plan. If you don't agree with it, great. Then do it yourself. If you have a problem, there's 2 options here. You either just naar and you have to say something and you have nothing to say, or you genuinely see something wrong because you don't agree with it. And if that's the fact, what is the solution? If you have a solution, great. Would you like to share your solution? If not, then keep your mouth. If you have no solution, keep your mouth as well, because you have nothing of value to add. So, there were a lot of people that had problems. Yeah, you said this and you said that and you said this. And look, I am not the guys before me that are the reason for your cynicism. And the fact that you became a cynic, that's your problem. I've been through ups and downs and many issues. You don't hear me complaining about it. You don't hear me using it as an excuse, as a crutch. I will give the next person the opportunity. If they screw me over, then they screw me over. I gave them the chance. So now I just say, well, I ignore you. You're a waste of air. You're a waste of oxygen. Move on to the next. I may very well deal with your partner, your wife, your husband, your son, your daughter, your family. And maybe you've imparted the solution to them and they now come with it. That's fine. But I'm not going to deal with you. I don't care about you. Because you had your opportunity and you didn't do anything. You may have run with it yourself. That's great. How has that worked out? I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm sitting there going, this idiot. We spoke years ago. We could have done great things together. But look at this mess. Poorly organized. Issues with systems. Poor administration. Those are all facts. And I can run them down because apparently I loaf for monster drinks outside Killarney. Where do these people come with this? When they're standing in front of me, they go make stupid statements like that. It just proves how much of a joke some people are. And to them, I'm the joke. That's great, my friend. That is perfectly fine and well. I'm out here enjoying life. Not even needing to live my best life. I'm just enjoying life. I look out, I see a beautiful day. Other people look out, it's a cloudy day. But when the sun's out, they moan about that also. They just moan. Without reason. Moaners and mitches without reason. It's crazy. The world that we live in. To the point where I wonder, when I do this, how closed it's going to be. A select few, invite only. Let's enjoy ourselves, let's have fun, and we'll see from there if we take it public. That's where I think I should be going, because the more I engage with people to show them, the more naargheid comes out. And I'm sitting there going, I don't need this. I don't need this at all. Go and fit road tires on my car and go take a drive and enjoy myself. Maybe put up a couple of cameras, record it, maybe share it with the world. This is Racegate in Cape Town. This is Salori's Pass. This is Baines Kloof. This is, Ladies Mile. This is what I do on most regular days. I just enjoy. So why would I let a handful of people spoil that for me? It's got nothing to do with me. The amount of people I've met throughout South Africa that were able to engage and share in our sport and our passion was eye-opening. I mean, I always knew there would be a possibility of meeting someone in a remote town that maybe now and then saw something that they considered warm because one of their neighbors moved to Cape Town or went to the big city and came back home on weekends, and they got a GTI that's got a liquor air filter and makes a noise. But when they tune in, and those that can't, I need to go and find out, engage with them again and find out, how much access do you actually have? What's the reality in South Africa? We've got smartphones. Do we actually access it? All of these things are related in some way or form to this whole initiative and this whole sort of concept of this channel. Now, I mean, what's the point? What is the point? I go around and broadcast, and I could, broadcast 7 cars racing. I mean, I did. Look at Aldo at Regional. I broadcasted those 19, 20 cars. And on that day, I think I had system issues with the laptop and my equipment, and I made it work. Because there was a portion that I missed and I recorded here and there. So there is unviewed or unseen content that I can go and post. And maybe I'll do that. I'm not a content creator. That implies I'm editing and working and reworking, and I've tried it. I've done it. There are some snippets. Mostly the trailers that you see before these podcasts. So it's doable. I can do it. I'm not passionate about it. Sorry. That's not me. If there's something that's going to add value to my passion, and my passions being people and motorsport, I'll do it. But it's not what I'm passionate about. The only reason you see the live streams that I've done is because I'm passionate about people and motorsport. I've said that before. I bought a camera because I've always been into photography. And I said that the other day as well. I went from film to when digital came out. I probably had one of the first camera phones, a Nokia 7650 if I remember correctly, the number. Flip up Nokia. I think I still have that phone. It may not work. It's dead. It's bricked. But from there I went to, digital, full-blown digital camera. And I was blown away by 5 megapixels. And then I moved over to the DSLRs, the mirror type digital cameras. I didn't even know the term. That's how little I know about that. I mean, I went to a course provided for by Canon, operated by a professional, not to learn to use my camera. This is the thing, not to learn to use my camera, but to be able to use my dash cam footage in court to say, no, I have had training, I know how to operate this equipment. The things that I got on camera, and not racers and civilians. I'm talking city officials, public servants, law enforcement, SAPs. I've got all that footage. Maybe I'll go and, edit and post that. Because I've got other channels that you don't know about. They are private channels. And I'll go and post it there. And when I feel, I'll make those public. Hey? Just a quick example. Police officer in traffic, sirens on. All the way through, me thinking this just looks suspect because you were behind me all this time. So, okay, maybe you got a call, but you are headed this way. So you either headed home or you are headed to your police station. We don't know. Well, you got an alarm. Let me see. Take advantage of this here. Through traffic. Only to get them at the end of traffic, sirens is off. Now, if you want me to be blunt, hopefully that person rolled that bucky and they no longer with us. Because that's the kind of poor human nature that we don't need running around. Inconvenience everyone because he's too good for traffic. We don't need people like that. I'll be blunt and raw. We don't. I mean, like I said the other night, I had a customer that refused to pay an invoice of mine. He's dead. He died of his own doing. I had nothing to do with it directly. But what I had something to do with was the fact that he screwed me over. So bye. Cheers. Have a nice, no longer life. This is what people don't understand. And I'm not saying if you don't deal with me, this will happen to you. No, if you don't deal with me, be civil with me. Don't give me excuses. After dealing with this idiot on Saturday, I looked at everything and I was like, but look at this. Look at this. Princess, this prince, this untouchable. Oh, you can speak to my minions and they will come to me. If you even look at, you can't get a feeling of the person over text. But dealing with him in person, I'm standing there and I'm looking to myself, and I'm sitting in the car looking at this. Oh, he wants to be in control. He wants to have his say. He probably wants to have the last say. Dis daai nie my mense nie. It's a joke. Some people are honestly the biggest jokes in the world. They want to have that last say. Go ahead, have the last say. Makes no difference to me. I go to sleep, I wake up, I enjoy life. This project will go ahead. Whether it is with partners or not, it will go ahead. If there's partners, it will go ahead a lot quicker than expected. That was the idea. Get buy-in from City so I can start to say, City's on board with this. Can we get sponsors? No, City's more interested in... No. Do we have a facility for this? One. Wat rook julle? Kom julle weg ter en haal julle mekaar se sokkies en ruil julle. Secret Santa, here's socks. Let's go and light it up and smoke it. No, it's a ridiculousness. I still need to go and see Officer Williams. Namesake. I can guarantee you how it's going to be, because every Williams is a doos. Eh? And those that take the most offense, they are probably the biggest dooses. I at least know I'm a doos. And I can live with that. I accept that. It makes my life so much easier. But I need to go and speak to him, because he's one of the guys you can't race on the road. Now, given what I said earlier, Formula E was raced where at Killarney? Killarney was involved, the marshals, sure. But where was it raced? It was raced on the road. So what is the difference between the city of Cape Town and the government organizing it and me as a civilian? The Porsche Club and the city of Cape Town organized the high-speed run on the R102 years ago. What's the difference between me and them? Is it money? Because it sounds to me like it. It sounds to me like there was kickbacks, or, what is in it for us? That's what people want to know. How about you just do it for your fellow human population, your fellow civilian? You do it for them. I can guarantee you, if I run an event, right, the idea would be run an event, generate a profit, pump that into the next event, which will make it easier. That's logic. That's how it should go. From there, generate more income, right? Got volunteers, start paying the guys something to say, you know what, we're taking care of transport, we're taking care of meals, your time is needed here. So now let's start remunerating you for your time. That's how you build, you start. You get people that want to say things like, this is a business. Great. I'm all for things running like a business. Means you don't waste. You focus on getting the most for the least amount. That's a business. Yes, the goal of a business is to make a profit, but that's all that people see that are worried about money. I just proved my point when I said your priority is money. You get that with the statements being made. And the stupid questions being asked. What's the point of a business? I'm like, to make a profit. Duh. But you want to operate a business within motorsport. And it's clear your priority is money. Then you're going to turn around and tell me something stupid like, but that's stupid because money is needed in everything. I didn't say money isn't. I said your priority is money. And if you've got sponsors and if you've got all these things, then, focus on what it's meant to be for. And I'm maybe giving you some insight here. And I shouldn't. Screw you. But at the end of the day, I wish you all of the best. In particular, that individual. There's so many issues within this sport and so many problem people. You just sometimes shake your head in disbelief and you say, you know what, I don't have time for this, man. And that's why I've now said, Strictly Street is what it's going to be. Maybe I'll make some merchandise. Maybe we'll sell that. Maybe we'll use the funds to go and get these things going a lot quicker. I have more mission critical things to focus on. As I've said before, my philanthropy has higher levels of mission critical things and needs that take precedent and preference over this. Yes, we all need this in motorsport. That's how it started out. But with the way the rules went, the naargheid, and the whole host of problematic individuals, I already sat there and I'm thinking to myself, why am I wasting my time here? Sort out your stuff. I'm going to go and focus on what really matters. Because it's pointless. We have so many vulnerable people that have no opportunities. And it's pointless we have these transformation charters within organizations like the MSA. What transformation has taken place? A few faces of color here and there? What is their background? I don't claim to be vulnerable. As far as I'm concerned, I could have probably had better opportunities. But I had enough opportunities to work with to make something of nothing. There's others that will claim, I started this from scratch, this is mine, but then your parents had a babywinkel all the years. So you had every opportunity because funds were there. So don't come and tell me you started this from scratch, you did this, you did that, if you came from that kind of scenario and then you go and spread that narrative when there are other people out there that really have nothing and they don't have the opportunity to start something. Those are the people I'm looking for. I'm not interested in these entitled, privileged pricks. And it's those that will say, look at those people from that area that are just as bad. They just happen to live in the Cape Flats. And they've got a chip on their shoulder and they point fingers elsewhere. I'm saying you are just as bad as those individuals you claim are bad, who are probably a lot better as a person than yourself. And that's sad. That is really sad. But Racegate last night, that was just the tip of the iceberg. That was just scratching the surface. Unfortunately, racers maybe don't want to come forward, maybe don't know about this. We'll see. We'll give it time. I would love to be more informed. But I am onto something clearly. And I say that because the engagement just isn't there. There's no reason not to engage. But when you see that, hey, Tom is starting to scratch something here that could be negatively affect me, I'm only scratching for the truth. I do nothing with malicious intent. I am not ill-mannered at all. But don't take my people and my sport for a gat, because I will find you out. And you will go down in a ball of flame, spectacularly. There will be nothing, no memory of you from years from now. A few years from now, there will be, who? What? There will be nothing. You will fall from graces if it is deserved. Sincerely hope you register that, because your opportunity is now. If you can acknowledge the error in your ways, then say and apologize. You can't, the way some people have been carrying on. I most likely have video footage of that. I've witnessed it with my own eyes, and I'm sitting there going, holy crap, maybe what people are saying is true because I'm looking. It's not affecting me. I'm observing it between this individual and the next one. I'm going, I don't even know if that was called for. What the hell just happened there? Negative or positive? It's too much. It's just too much, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But either way, you guys need to have a good day. I'm going to sign off. I'm not even going to wait for 9 o'clock. This isn't a radio station that has a time slot. I'm my own time slot. I am the time slot now, Captain Phillips. So have a good day, guys. I need to get ready for my meeting and sort out a few things for next week. And I'll give you updates. Next week's going to be very interesting for me. Very. And I will keep you updated. We'll see how it works out for the platform and the channel. But yeah. As for tonight, I'll make that topic live later. Public. And I don't know. Maybe I need to review and say this needs to be a weekly thing, not a nightly thing. All of these are at my discretion. You know, that's the beauty of social platforms and when you are in control of what you can put out there. We'll see. I mean, I'm obviously going through banting and my body's familiarizing itself with everything. This morning I had a lovely 2-egg omelette with some beef ragu and cheese. Greasy goodness. If you want to know more, hit me up and get that link to the food nutrition channel. And join the WhatsApp platform and engage with the polls that will be loaded. This is also just a test. I wasn't meant to start this early. But let's see how it goes. Might as well. What can go wrong? Why not? Either way, thank you for tuning in. Please do subscribe if you want to. Please like if you want to. Please don't like if you don't want to. But click that notification bell either way. And you will be informed of when I next go live. And when there's surprise content posted. Cheers. See you guys later.